Welcome, travelers, to a tale from Azeroth's untamed wilds. This week's lore is the saga of the Witherbark trolls, fierce rebels who broke from the Amani Empire's ashes. From the sacred shrines of the Hinterlands to the war-torn Arathi Highlands, these forest trolls carved a legacy of defiance, bound to the Loa, and forged in battle. Who were these warriors, clashing with Stromgarde and striking dark pacts? Grab your spear, heed the spirits, and join us for part 1 of their epic story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more World of Warcraft lore deep dives. Let's tread the wilds and begin. History. Origins and split from the Amani Empire. The Witherbark tribe traces its roots to the ancient Amani Empire, one of the most powerful troll civilizations in Azeroth's history. The Amani, a forest troll empire centered in what is now Zul'aman in northern Lordaeron, were known for their fierce territorialism and deep spiritual connection to the Loa, their revered deities. Around 2,800 years before the Dark Portal opened, following the Troll Wars, the Witherbark tribe broke away from the Amani Empire. The Troll Wars were a significant conflict where the Amani trolls, under the leadership of their warlord Jinta, clashed with the nascent human kingdom of Arathor and their half-elf allies from Quel'Thalas. The trolls suffered a devastating defeat, which weakened the Amani Empire and led to internal divisions. The reason for the Witherbark's secession stemmed from a combination of factors: dissatisfaction with the Amani leadership, different visions for the future of the forest trolls, and a desire to return to their ancestral practices and lands. The Witherbarks chose to re-establish themselves in the regions now known as the Hinterlands and parts of the Arathi Highlands, areas rich with dense forests and rugged terrain that suited their traditional ways of life. These lands, far from the heart of the Amani Empire, allowed the Witherbark to carve out their own identity while maintaining the core cultural and spiritual practices of the forest trolls, such as worship of the Loa and a deep connection to nature. Culture and society. Like other forest troll tribes, the Witherbarks are characterized by their fierce independence, military prowess, and adherence to ancient troll traditions. Forest trolls, in general, are physically distinct from other troll races, with mossy green skin, a hunched posture, and a deep affinity for the wilderness. The Witherbarks organize themselves into small, tightly knit clans led by chieftains and witch doctors, who serve as both spiritual and military leaders. Their society is steeped in rituals honoring the Loa, with offerings, sacrifices, and ceremonies to gain favor or guidance from these powerful spirits. The Witherbark's choice to return to their ancestral land suggests a desire to preserve their traditional way of life, which may have been threatened by the Amani Empire's broader ambitions and internal strife following the Troll Wars. Their settlement in the hinterlands, such as Hiri'watha and Shadra'Alor in the Arathi Highlands, like the Hakkar Village, were likely fortified with wooden palisades, totems, and shrines to their Loa. These locations reflect their preference for defensible, forested areas where they could practice their rituals and maintain their independence. Alliance with the Old Horde and the Second War. During the Second War, around 6 years after the Dark Portal opened, the Witherbark tribe, along with other forest troll tribes, allied with the Old Horde under the leadership of Zul'gurub, a legendary Amani warlord. Zul'gurub was a unifying figure for the forest trolls, rallying them with the promise of reclaiming their lost territories and exacting revenge on the High Elves of Quel'Thalas, who had been their enemies since the Troll Wars. The Witherbark, despite their separation from the Amani, shared this hostility towards the elves as well, and a broader distrust of humans, who had encroached on the troll lands over the centuries. The Old Horde, a coalition of orcs, ogres, goblins, and trolls led by War Chief Ogrim Doomhammer, provided the forest trolls with an opportunity to strike at their enemies. The Witherbark contributed warriors to the Horde's campaign, particularly in the assault on Quel'Thalas, where they sought to destroy the High Elves and their Sunwell. However, the campaign ultimately failed, and the Horde suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of the Alliance of Lordaeron, a coalition of humans, dwarves, gnomes, and High Elves. Following the Horde's defeat, Zul'gurub mysteriously disappeared, captured by the High Elves and later escaping, though his absence left the forest trolls leaderless. Disillusioned by the Horde's failure and unwilling to remain allied with the now weakened orcs, the Witherbark and other forest trolls abandoned their former allies. This decision reflects the pragmatic and self-serving nature of troll alliances, which are often based on mutual benefit rather than loyalty. The Witherbark retreated to their territories, focusing on their survival and independence in the face of growing threats from the human kingdoms. Hostility with Stromgarde. The Witherbark tribe's sworn hostility with Stromgarde, prominent human kingdom in the Arathi Highlands, is a central aspect of their post-Second War history. Stromgarde, founded by the Arathi tribe of humans, was one of the key powers in the Alliance of Lordaeron and a direct neighbor to the Witherbark's territories. The conflict between the Witherbark and Stromgarde arose from territorial disputes, as the Arathi Highlands were home to both human settlements and troll villages. The humans of Stromgarde viewed the trolls as savage threats to their sovereignty, while the Witherbark saw humans as invaders encroaching on their ancestral lands. This hostility manifested in frequent skirmishes, raids, and battles. The Witherbark village in the Arathi Highlands, located near Stromgarde's borders, became a focal point of conflict. The trolls conducted guerrilla-style attacks on human outposts, while Stromgarde's forces retaliated with military expeditions to drive the trolls out. The Witherbark's knowledge of the terrain gave them an advantage in hit-and-run tactics, but Stromgarde's superior organization and resources made them a formidable foe. This ongoing feud has persisted into the modern era of Azeroth, with the Witherbarks remaining a thorn in the side of Stromgarde and its successors. Legacy and role in Azeroth. In the broader context of Azeroth's history, the Witherbark tribe represents the resilience and adaptability of the forest trolls in the face of adversity. Unlike the Amani, who remained a more centralized power in zul'aman, the Witherbark's decision to break away allowed them to survive the decline of the Amani Empire and maintain their independence. However, their isolation and hostility with neighboring factions, particularly Stromgarde, have kept them on the fringes of Azeroth's major events. In Azeroth, the Witherbark tribe appears as a hostile faction to both the Alliance and the Horde, reflecting their distrust of outsiders. Those who encounter Witherbark trolls in the Hinterlands and Arathi Highlands see that they are aggressive defenders of their territory. Notable figures, such as Witherbark witch doctors and chieftains, wield dark magic and lead raids against nearby settlements. Their settlement, filled with totems, ziggurats, and lower shrines, emphasize their cultural distinctiveness and spiritual traditions. The Witherbark story is one of survival, defiance, and adaptation. Their split from the Amani Empire allowed them to preserve their way of life, but their alliances and conflicts have shaped their reputation as fierce, uncompromising adversaries. As Azeroth continues to evolve, the Witherbark remain a testament to the enduring legacy of the forest trolls, holding fast to their ancestral lands and traditions in a world increasingly dominated by humans, elves, and other powers. World of Warcraft. Settlements in the Hinterlands. 25 years after the Dark Portal opening, the Witherbark tribe had solidified their presence in the Hinterlands, a lush, forested region ideal for their traditional forest troll lifestyle. They established several key settlements, including Hiri'watha Village. This settlement served as a primary stronghold for the Witherbark in the Hinterlands. It was a fortified village with wooden palisades, totems, and shrines dedicated to their Loa. Hiri'watha was a hub for Witherbark warriors and witch doctors. The village's strategic location allowed the tribe to project power in the region while defending against external threats. Zun'watha Ruins. The Witherbark's occupation of these ruins suggested a connection to their ancestral heritage. The ruins, remnants of older troll structures predating the Troll Wars, were repurposed as a defensive ritual site. The name Zun'watha may indicate worship of a specific Loa or historical figure, reflecting the tribe's deep spiritual tradition. Shadra'Alor Temple. The Temple of Shadra'Alor is particularly significant, as it is dedicated to Shadra, the Loa of spiders, a deity revered by many forest trolls. The Witherbark's control of this sacred site underscores their commitment to their spiritual practices, with witch doctors performing rituals and sacrifices to gain Shadra's favor. The temple's location in the Hinterlands also made it a focal point for the tribe's religious and military activities. These settlements reflect the Witherbark's determination to maintain their cultural identity and territorial control in the Hinterlands, despite pressure from neighboring factions. Conflicts with the Reventusk and Dwarves. The Witherbark's aggressive expansion in the Hinterlands brought them into conflict with two notable groups, the Reventusk tribe and the Dwarves of Airy Peak. The Reventusk were a smaller forest troll tribe also residing in the Hinterlands, and became a target of the Witherbark aggression. Unlike the Witherbark, the Reventusk had allied themselves with the Horde, seeking protection and mutual benefit under Thrall's leadership. The Witherbark, viewing the Reventusk as rivals or traitors for aligning with outsiders, launched numerous raids against their settlements, such as Reventusk Village. These attacks were driven by territorial disputes and ideological differences, as the Witherbark rejected the Horde's broader vision of unity. The Reventusk, though smaller, were resilient and bolstered by Horde support, which intensified the conflict. At Airy Peak, the Wildhammer Dwarves were known for their Griffin Riders and rugged independence, which posed another significant threat to the Witherbark. The Wildhammer clan had established a stronghold in the Hinterlands, and their expansionist tendencies clashed with the Witherbark's territorial claims. The Dwarves, skilled in guerrilla warfare and aerial combat, targeted the Witherbark settlements to secure their own borders, leading to skirmishes in the dense forest. The Witherbark's hatred for the Dwarves mirrored their long-standing hatred with humans, particularly Stromgarde, and reinforced their isolationist stance. Betrayal of the Horde and Darkspear retribution. The Witherbark's brief alliance with the Horde under Warchief Thrall, around 20 to 25 years after the Dark Portal, marks a pivotal moment in their history. Initially, the Witherbark saw strategic value in aligning with the new Horde, which included Orcs, Tauren, and the Darkspear Trolls, especially as a means to counter threats from the Alliance and other Troll tribes. However, the Witherbark's loyalty was fleeting, and they betrayed Thrall, due to their distrust of outsiders and a belief that the Horde's goals did not align with their own. This betrayal provoked a fierce response from the Darkspear Trolls, a jungle troll tribe fiercely loyal to Thrall and the Horde. The Darkspears, led by figures like Vol'jin, unleashed their warriors and enlisted the aid of young adventurers to punish the Witherbark. These campaigns targeted Witherbark settlements like Hiri'watha, resulting in significant losses for the tribe. The Darkspears' involvement underscores the cultural divide between forest and jungle trolls, with the Witherbark viewing the Darkspears as sellouts for the joining the Horde, while the Darkspears saw the Witherbark as treacherous opportunists. Alliance with the Boulder Fist Ogres in Arathi Highlands. In the Arathi Highlands, the Witherbark faced continued pressure from the Horde's establishment of Hammerfall, a fortified outpost built by Thrall's forces to secure the region. To counter this threat, the Witherbark formed an uneasy alliance with the Boulder Fist Ogres, a brutish clan known for their strength and territorial ambitions. This partnership was one of convenience, as both groups shared a mutual enemy in the Horde and sought to drive them out of the Arathi Highlands. The Witherbark Village in the Arathi Highlands became a staging ground for joint operations with the Boulder Fist. The Trolls provided cunning and knowledge of the terrain, while the Ogres contributed raw power. Together, they launched raids on Hammerfall, aiming to disrupt the Horde supply lines and weaken their foothold. However, the alliance was shaky, as Trolls and Ogres have historically had tense relations, and the Witherbark's pride as forest trolls likely made them wary of their Ogre allies. Despite their efforts, Hammerfall remained a resilient Horde stronghold, and the Witherbark Boulder Fist coalition struggled to achieve a decisive victory. Fringi's deal with the Horde. Amidst this hostility, an intriguing exception emerges with Fringi, a Witherbark troll who struck a deal with Horde agents. Fringi had been captured and imprisoned at Quel'Danil Lodge, a High Elf outpost in the Hinterlands operated by the Quel'Thalassian High Elves. The circumstances of his capture are unclear, but his imprisonment stemmed from Witherbark raids against the Elves. Despite the tribe's broader hostility towards the Horde, Fringi saw an opportunity to secure his freedom by collaborating with Horde operatives. The deal involved Horde agents infiltrating Quel'Danil Lodge to free Fringi, in exchange for information, resources, and a temporary truce. This incident highlights a pragmatic streak within the Witherbark tribe, where individual members, like Fringi, were willing to negotiate with enemies for personal gain or survival. It also underscores the complexity of the Witherbark-Horde relations, which were not formally antagonistic, but shaped by specific circumstances and opportunities. Allegiance to Hakkar and Jindo. The Witherbark's most dramatic shift in allegiance came with the resurgence of Hakkar the Soulflayer in zul'gurub, a jungle troll stronghold in Stranglethorn Vale. Hakkar, a malevolent Loa known for demanding blood sacrifices and corrupting his followers, was summoned by Jindo the Hexer, a Gurubashi troll priest. The Witherbark, despite being forest trolls, pledged their allegiance to Jindo and offered their souls to Hakkar, a decision that marked a dark turn in their history. The alliance was driven by a combination of desperation, spiritual manipulation, and the promise of power. The Witherbark, weakened by conflicts with their Reventusk, Wildhammer Dwarves, and Horde, may have seen Hakkar's cult as a means to regain strength and exact revenge on their enemies. To formalize their commitment, the Witherbark sent an ambassador, known as the Witherbark Speaker, to zul'gurub. The Speaker's role was to coordinate with Jindo and ensure the Witherbark's interests were represented with Hakkar's growing cult. The decision to align with Hakkar had profound consequences. The blood god's influence corrupted many Witherbark trolls, drawing them into rituals of sacrifice and dark magic that clashed with their traditional worship of Loas like Shadra. This allegiance also pitted them against both the Horde and the Alliance, as those from both factions were dispatched to zul'gurub to defeat Hakkar and his followers. The Witherbark's involvement in this conflict further cemented their reputation as a dangerous and unpredictable force. Cultural and strategic implications. The Witherbark's actions by 25 years after the Dark Portal reveal a tribe caught between tradition and desperation. Their settlements in the Hinterlands reflect a commitment to their forest troll heritage, with sites like Shadra'Alor emphasizing their spiritual connection to the Loa. However, their willingness to ally with the Boulderfist ogres, negotiate with the Horde, in Rinji's case, and pledge allegiance to Hakkar shows a pragmatic, if not opportunistic approach to survival in a hostile world. Their conflicts with the Reventusk, Wildhammer Dwarves, and Horde underscore their isolationist tendencies and deep-seated distrust of outsiders. The betrayal of Thrall and a subsequent Darkspear retaliation highlight the consequences of their duplicity, while their alliance with Hakkar suggests a willingness to embrace darker powers to achieve their goals. These choices paint the Witherbark as a tribe struggling to maintain their identity and power in a rapidly changing Azeroth, where old grudges and new threats constantly challenge their survival. Legacy in Azeroth. About 25 years after the Dark Portal opening, the Witherbark tribe's actions had solidified their status as a formidable but fractious presence in the Hinterlands and Arathi Highlands. Their settlements, conflicts, and shifting alliances reflect the broader challenges faced by forest trolls in a world dominated by the Alliance and Horde. In Azeroth, those who encounter Witherbark trolls are met with hostility, as they see anyone who steps foot in the Hinterlands or Arathi Highlands as invaders and will defend their territory with ferocity. Those who are tasked with going after the Witherbark are often focused on disrupting their raids, protecting allied settlements, and countering their dark alliances, such as those involved with Hakkar. The Witherbark story is one of resilience, adaptability, and tragedy. Their split from their Amani Empire gave them independence, but their relentless conflicts and questionable alliances had left them vulnerable. Whether through their raids on the Reventusk, their uneasy partnership with the Boulderfist, or their descent into Hakkar's cult, the Witherbark remain a vivid example of the forest troll's enduring struggle to carve out a place in Azeroth's troubled history. That's the tale of the Witherbark tribe's rise, defiant, unbroken, yet teetering on the edge of darkness. Their story doesn't end here. Subscribe to Locked In Gaming to follow their journey through betrayal, war, and forbidden pacts in Part 2. Like this video, share it with your fellow adventurers, and maybe leave a comment down below, such as what's your favorite World of Warcraft troll lore moment. Until next time, may the Loa guide your path.